Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen of the regiment. I know, 2 news videos in 1 week? What's going on, Lee? Well, today we got news about Grand Cathay, the new army that's coming out for Total War Fantasy Battles, or Old World, as it is now known as. As you guys may or may not know, I am a huge fan of Grand Cathay, or I just call it Cathay. There's just something about it that hits just so good. It's like Cathay and the Empire. It's like peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You just love it. You just love it. It's simple. It's good. Fantastic. But we have new little tidbits of lore that is dropping. The Warhammer community website, which is honestly a god-awful website, not going to lie. It's crap. But we have another article from the website. Please understand, this is only a small $5 billion company. Oh, GW, how I love you. So, anyways, we got a little bit new lore tidbits. Again, the Cathay will be probably up to pre-order in about 2 to 3 weeks. We've already seen signs of that. The models are in the hands of influencers, which is a sure sign that it's going to be dropping soon. As we look into other sites like Reddit. Let me just pull up here for 1 second. Yep, there it is. So we already got people with these sites. I know Reddit account, it's awful. I know, horrible. Should be executed. Now, going back to Grand Cathay and the lore. I'm not going to read the entire thing, but I am going to go and do little tidbits of lore that is somewhat new. So, as you guys might know, the Old World is set in the past, about 200 years into the past of the end times. So, we already kind of know what happens, except they're kind of filling in the gaps. So, as we see in this time period, Grand Cathay has much more of a presence in the Empire. As it says right here, merchant ships and ambassadorial delegations, English please, ambassadorial delegations are not uncommon in the great port cities and the Empire, but Marienburg is a long way from Wei Jin. So Grand Cathay does have much more presence in the Empire, unlike, say, in the end times where it fully retreated into itself. It talks about Wei Jin, which is the capital, which has a lot of floating stuff in it. It's nice. It talks about the 9 dragon children, which we already know about. But the introduction of Cathay into the Old World is a mighty fleet headed by Mao Yin, not Yin Yin, but Mao Yin, as a bit of an expeditionary force, because chaos is now on the rise. All right, then talks about a little bit the setting. Talk about the hinterlands of Kush, the Hobgoblin tribes, Nippon, which we'll never see. Don't worry about it. Yeah, we're never going to see Nippon or Ind. Those fans. You're hoping against hope at this point. I'm sorry. Now, what's interesting, it says, from our point of view, Grand Cathay is connected to the Old World through Kislev. Far more than during the era of Karl France, because the world has changed. Now, in the era of Karl France, which is the Total Warhammer era, it's actually connected by the Silk Road, which comes down the south. And when you play as Mao Yin or any Grand Cathay, you know that they have to defend against the Northern Barbarians. Well, they reveal in this article that the Northern Barbarians were once actually Kislev cities, and as chaos have kind of like expanded, they have turned those Kislev kind of towns and populations into marauders, which is why they don't use that northern passage anymore. See, they retreat after the Great War against Chaos, which is the Old World. That's what the Old World setting right now is leading up to, the Great War against Chaos, which it does get defeated by the Emperor Magnus the Pious, but Chaos always becomes a stain on the world. As see, the Chaos has returned to the world, and the Shadow never retreats again. As they say in the article. Yeah, all the Kislev settings that extend across the Great Steppe from the Western Marches to Grand Cathay gradually become marauder tribes over the next 2 centuries. All those relationships change, all the trade routes shut down. So, yeah, as you can see right here, this kind of like northern passage that used to be there, doesn't work anymore. During our time period, Cathayan ships are not an unusual sight in Marienburg, so it looks like in Marienburg there is a huge settlement of Cathayans, which is really cool. I really like the fact that they're actually like filling out the reason why there's Cathayans in this setting, in this kind of time period, and not in the I guess the old time period that we're used to. The technically it's all in the past, but the future past, as one might say. They also dropped that we're going to get a second Cathayan Arcane journal, which means because the first Arcane journal hasn't dropped, it's going to be dropping soon. The second one is probably going to be for everyone. Everyone is probably going to get a second Arcane journal, and that's going to kind of like move the timeline forward. Because right now, Chaos is really in its infancy, and I'm thinking in the next kind of like, Old World second edition, they're going to move Chaos to be much more of a grand threat. All right, Dragon Emperor. Yeah, we already know about the Dragon Emperor. He's one of the Zen Yen, one of the original dragons, the OGs. Been around before the old ones arrived. And although it does say kind of interesting, he says that it is where is it again? Oldest ones arrived, blah, blah, blah. It says that he didn't want to be the emperor at first. Yeah, right here. And he reluctantly took up the role as emperor. So that's kind of interesting that he reluctantly actually did this role and not was like, okay, you humans are now under me. It's more of a reluctance than anything. That's kind of neat. That actually gives them a lot more character. Because, if you look at like the other emperors in the setting, or in the other settings like Big E, the God Emperor himself, he is the one that was like really took charge. He more of a reluctant emperor, which is very interesting. Another little lore tidbit. So it talks about the dragons that are still active in the world: Mao Yin, Zhao Min, Yangbo, Yin Yin, Lu Dao, and Lu Dao. Now Yin Yin is kind of interesting, the sea dragon, because a lot of people assumed that Yin Yin actually died, but she isn't. We have confirmation that Yin Yin is actually still alive. Shamiyama, the spirit dragon, still dead, but she guards the underworld, so she's kind of dead, kind of not. And of course, Shenzhou is lost to the Chaos Wastes. We do find her kind of in Warhammer 3, and we're not sure if that's canonical or non-canonical. As for the other two, it's like a bit like the missing Primarchs. Yeah, there is two other dragons that are a bit like up in the air. We're pretty sure one of them gets corrupted by Chaos. And then there is... God, I can't remember what happened with the other one. It's like really old ancient lore that like a Bretonnian knight once killed a Cathayan dragon, but we're not sure if that's still canonical. But we do get a really nice picture of Mao Yin. I really love this picture. This absolutely fierce in her dragon form. Awesome. It talks about the Monkey King, and basically saying how like the Monkey King was one of like the first little tidbits of lore in the Guinevere books. When it talks about Grand Cathay, but they didn't really know how to like bring him into the fold in like in the updated version. And okay, so now here's where I get kind of pissed off about the old world and how they handled Cathay. And I didn't want to make a video about this, but they bring it up again, so I'm going to have to say this. So in China, China on the real world China, there is undead and there is body horror. There is a lot of undead in the mythology. Now, we get confirmation that there is jade-blooded vampires, but we don't get the Jane Shi, which is the traditional Chinese vampires. Because they have constantly avoided any body horror. The reason why they did that is because the Chinese Communist Party doesn't like excessive gore, and it doesn't like undead because that was used as propaganda in the past. So they ban these. So they try to the GW has tried to say that it is Chinese sensibilities that we are catering to, and thus that's why we don't have a bunch of skulls on Grand Cathay and everything else like that. The problem is, it's not the sensibilities of the Chinese people, it's the sensibilities of the Chinese government, and they don't want to piss off the CCP. It's a smokescreen. It's stupid, and honestly, the hopping vampires are completely Warhammer. If you look at all the goofy shit that's in the Warhammer fantasy battles, they fit right in. They fit right in. And the fact that they're excluding like actual traditional Chinese vampires is just stupid. Absolutely stupid. But Tiger Man is going to be an idea for the background, and the Hobgoblin Incarnates. We're probably not going to see that anytime soon, if I'm being honest with you. They're probably going to be background figures. We're not going to get a model. Well, unless I can't see them getting a model in like, quote unquote second edition, or when the second round of Arcane journals come out. But like, yeah, maybe third, maybe, but I really can't see it. And they just talk about basically how CA approached them to make Grand Cathay, because that was true. CA did approach GW in making Grand Cathay. So like, Grand Cathay is as much, if not more, a baby of Creative Assembly than GW, which is kind of funny to say. We also get a really nice picture right here of a dragon-blooded and the or possible dragon-blooded and the mount, the Lanma, which is just looking so fierce. Oh, so great art. Great art. All right, then they talk about the pandemic, the Great Coup, when they were in the middle of everything, slowing everything down. And then not much after that. Yeah, not much. We're going to get more information in the coming weeks. But, some interesting lore tidbits. The re-elected emperor, Yin Yin, still actually canonically being alive, or confirmed to be alive. The rumors were false. That Kislev and Grand Cathay were once connected. We're probably going to get Kislev. Kislev might be second edition, or like the second round of Arcane journals coming out for Old World. I can't see them coming out after Grand Cathay. I think Grand Cathay is going to be make or break for Old World. If Grand Cathay does well, they'll move ahead and start doing new models for all the other ranges. I can definitely see that. If Grand Cathay flops, Old World will probably be kind of put on life support and kind of drift away, as a lot of other especially product games have done in the past. Because Old World, as much as people want it to be, it is not a mainline title. GW does not consider it mainline. Mainline is Age of Sigmar and 40k, which is why when we look at the sales for the last quarter of last year, Old World didn't even crack the top 10. While Age of Sigmar was on 4th place, and then of course 40k was on top, because 40k is the juggernaut that keeps on making money. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I hope hope this was informative. Hope you learned something. Hope you got a little bit hyped about Grand Cathay. I will be buying a battalion box, and hopefully, fingers crossed, I can get my hands on Mao Yin, because goddamn, I love that model so much. So we'll be doing painting streams when that comes out, and it's going to be lots of fun. So get hyped and get ready for that. So thank you very much, and always remember, Harmony. I screwed it up. Always remember, Panzervore.